I'm a dancer, a ballerina to be exact. I've studied ballet for as long as I can remember. It's one of my real passion. I'd spend every waking moment dancing if I could. I met Adam when I was still studying. I had just turned 19 and was training at a small school in New York. Adam was a film student. He was tall, handsome, clean-shaven. I don't think I've ever saw him wear jeans, sneakers, or anything resembling casual clothes. He was always dressed in neatly pressed slacks and a buttoned-up shirt, like he usually wore a tie. I had noticed him watching us practice, but I hadn't given him a second thought. It wasn't uncommon for us to have an audience at some sort of rehearsals. My school just put on a big production for Swan Lake every winter, and we let our school children and nursing home groups watch our dress rehearsal. So seeing Adam sitting in the audience every now and then wasn't jarring or creepy. It certainly didn't raise any red flags. Adam approached me after one particularly grueling rehearsal and introduced himself. "I've been watching you dance for quite some time," he said. He gestured around at the group and around the word "you," making it seem like he'd been watching everyone, and not just me. "I'm making a movie, and I was wondering if you'd like to be in it." When I heard him say the word movie, I immediately thought he was asking me to star in a porno or something. "I don't know if I have the time," I said, trying to turn him down politely as possible. "I understand your concern," he gently said, as if he read my mind. "Let me assure you, this isn't a pornographic film. You'll be fully covered at all times." He explained to me that the film student was a nearby university and that he was making a short film for his end-of-term project. "It was about a man who keeps seeing visions of a woman made of glass," said Adam. "She follows him everywhere, and her beauty ultimately drives him to madness." "I really don't act," I told him. "I don't need to." "You two," he said quickly. "I want you to play the woman made of glass. You see, I intentionally thought that the woman would just stand around the corner, just outside of his peripheral vision. But when I saw you dancing—" "You want me to dance?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "The whole thing would take only the weekend. 2 days tops. I would film you dancing, then edit you in the movie later." He paused. "I can give you $2,000. As you probably could guess, I was a poor student who really needed the money. I gave Adam my number and we arranged a time to film. The space that Adam had produced was on campus. It was a small, windowless room that had been painted a bright garnish green. Adam explained to me that it was for his green screen effect. He'd film me dancing and then edit me into different backgrounds. I thought it was a cool idea. "This is Kelly," said Adam. Introduced me to a mousy girl with thick glasses. "She's in charge of the costuming." I hadn't considered how Adam would make me look like I was made entirely out of glass. Before I could ask him, he turned and walked towards the door. "I'll give you some privacy," he said, before leaving. Kelly held up a giant bag of sequins and rhinestones. "Take your clothes off," she said fiercely. When I balked, she explained how she intended to cover me in head to toe in sequins and rhinestones just to make it look like I was made out of real stained glass. Technically, I would be completely naked, aside from the sequins and rhinestones. I opened the door to leave. There was no way I was going to allow someone to film me like this. "Wait!" Adam called. "You can't leave." "You said I wouldn't be naked," I told him. "And you won't be," he assured me. "You'll be completely covered, I promise." I shook my head. "I'm not doing this," I told him. Adam sighed. "What if I give you $5,000? I had fought over his initial over $2,000 was just generous, but when this is something else entirely, this was something that I could not turn down. I know $5,000 may not seem like a lot, but to a starving dance student who's neck deep in the student loans, well, you get the picture. I let Kelly cover me with sequins and rhinestones. She painted my entire body white and applied the sequins and rhinestones in erratic patterns. I can't remember how long it took. It must have been hours. I shoved my hair underneath the bald cap, which was also decorated. I remember staring down at the delicate swirls along my stomach and over my breasts and being generally impressed. When I was finally in costume, Adam came back into the room. He gasped as he saw me, clasping his hands in front of his chest. "You're perfect," he whispered. Absolutely perfect. Adam set up his camera and told me to stand in front of the garnished green wall. Kelly brought a boombox and popped the video cassette in. Just let the music take you, said Adam. The music was unlike anything I've ever heard before. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard anything like that since. I can't really describe it. It started off with a soft piano tinkling and gradually crescendoed to a full orchestra. Drums beat accompanied by a full woodwind string, a brass sections, a music webbed and flowed, swelling up into magnificent crescendos and lowering into something barely audible. I don't remember dancing. It was as if I'd been lost in some kind of trance. I don't know how long I've danced. It felt like mere minutes, but in reality it must have been hours. I only stopped when the music did. I looked down and realized that my feet were bleeding. Blood welled up between the rhinestones and trickled down onto the floor. I had left smeared red footprints all over the floor. I must have been bleeding for quite some time. How could Adam have noticed? How could I have not noticed? Adam was standing next to his camera. Tears streamed down his face. Kelly was nowhere to be seen. That was beautiful, he said. So beautiful and so perfect. He pressed a large, thick envelope into my hand. Kelly will help you get change. He picked up his camera and left the room before I could say anything. Kelly came back and helped me remove the sequins and rhinestones. As it turned out, my feet weren't bleeding too badly. A rhinestone had cut one of my heels, and another had bit into my toe. Kelly carefully cleaned the white makeup off of me and bandaged my feet. She didn't say anything, although I asked her numerous questions about the project. Adam will get in touch with you if you'd like a copy of the movie, she said. When she was done, she glanced down at the blood floor. I'll clean that up. I was shocked to see the sun rising when I left the room. Had I been there all night? I checked my phone. It was nearly 6 in the morning. I had arrived probably at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and I was leaving most of the 24 hours later. How long have I been dancing for? Luckily, I hadn't missed any of my rehearsals. I took a train back to my dorm and fell asleep instantly. I didn't dream about anything. I woke up sometime in the afternoon to find an email from Adam waiting on my phone. You were perfection. I'll be doing a lot of editing. The final film won't be done for a few weeks. I'll email you when it's finished. I remember the thick envelope that Adam handed me. I dug it out of my purse, opened it and counted the money. There were 5 stacks of crisp $100 bills held together by rubber bands. Due to his word, Adam had given me $5,000. I would have skipped all the way to the ATM if it hadn't been my aching feet. It was months before I heard from Adam about the film. I had forgotten all about it when I received an email from him. Free screening of The Woman Made of Glass tonight on Talbot Hall. I cursed and considered skipping the rehearsal to go see the movie. Our dance instructor was a notorious hard-ass, though the only way he'd let one skip a rehearsal, as if they dropped dead. I emailed Adam and told him that I wouldn't be able to make it. I never heard from him again. To this day, I've never seen the movie I appeared in. I don't know exactly what happened to Talbot Hall, only that I saw later on the news what Kelly told me when I went to visit her in the hospital. Talbot Hall was a large lecture hall that at Adam's school. It had been packed with film students and their friends to a point where the standing room only. Adam had turned off the lights, fired up the projector, and started playing with his film. Something happened. No one had been able to figure out why. But about 3 minutes into the film, people in the audience started to react strangely. It started with fidgeting small movements, then it quickly escalated. People wept and they howled and screamed like made animal noises. They laughed uncontrollably. They attacked each other, screaming and clawing and biting. Some people got up and began dancing. One girl had laid down on the floor and just let herself being trampled underfoot. When the whole ordeal was over, she had been reduced to bits of pulp and bone. If not for the charm bracelet with her name on it, they wouldn't be able to identify her. A couple of minutes into the room tore each other's clothes off and began messing around like animals. Several other people, some of them couples, some of them not, joined them in grotesque, messed up thing. A girl turned to her boyfriend and began scratching him, raking her nails as along his chest until bloody strips of skin began to peel off. They sat there, howled, her never moving. It was as if it had just snapped. Another boy pulled a plastic button off of his backpack and snapped it in half, and used a jagged edge to slash his own throat. People danced and the blood splurting from his neck, rubbing on their face to each other's hair like shampoo. As the boy laid there, a girl pounced on him, sinking her teeth into his cheek, and tearing off a huge chunk. She chewed thoughtfully and then swallowed. Adam stood there in the midst of the chaos, never taking off his eyes off the flickering screen. He was weeping. Tears streamed down his face. It was obvious everything to him was happening around him. Kelly told me all this when I went to visit her in the hospital. The last thing she seen before frantically clawing her own eyes out was me, dancing on the screen in front of the room, the sequins and rhinestones shimmering like glass. "It was so beautiful," she whispered, scratching absentmindedly at the bandages wrapped around her face. "And hideous and grotesque, just beautiful." A surprising number of students survived. I tried talking to them, trying to figure out what had happened. Most of them refused to talk to me when they found out that I had been dancing the woman in the film. The boy who had been scratched up by his girlfriend reluctantly agreed to talk to me. His name was Kyle, and he'd been in the Adam's film class. Adam always liked the regular guy, he told me. He was really into Grindhouse and Galileo films, but that was not so weird. A lot of people in class were also into weird shit. They wanted to make a world-changing art films. Kyle sighed and looked down at his bandaged chest. "My girlfriend doesn't remember doing this," he said. "I don't really remember it either. I just remember dancing." He looked at me. "You were a dancing woman?" "Yes," I told him. He nodded thoughtfully. "I didn't see you on the screen," he said. "I mean, not really. Not the way you are now. You're normal right now." He gestured to me and my ponytail and hoodie. "You're not. You were something else in the movie. I don't know what. You were just..." His voice trailed off and shook his head. "I really can't describe it," he said. "It was like you weren't human. It was so scary. It was so wonderful and terrible at the same time." It didn't make much sense to me, but I didn't press any further. I never saw Kyle after that, and I never saw Kelly either. Adam was never found. No one saw him leave the lecture hall, and there were several bodies too damaged and mutilated to identify. It's entirely impossible that he's died, but it's also possible that he lived. I've never seen the movie that he made. As far as anyone knows, there weren't any copies of it. When the police checked the projector, the film was gone. What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Ms. Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.